What's up, my beautiful, amazing, wonderful listeners? Welcome to an extra sip. I'm your host, Miriam Smaki, and folks, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Stay calm, everyone. Stay calm. You guys already saw the title of this episode, and I am so excited about this. Since I even thought of the idea of having a podcast, I was like, okay, I need to tell this story. I feel like on my Snapchat, it's been this and the tennis story that has been just really requested. Maybe not even from other people, but I just want to tell the story again and again just because I can't even believe how ridiculous my life tends to be. So, okay, and I'm already screaming, well, we're going to get passionate during this one, so that's going to be great. And if you haven't, y'all already saw the tennis episode, it was wild. This one's gonna be wild too, except I'm alone during this one, so we gotta up the energy, okay? I'm already excited. But before I jump into any of that, so I decided that recording over summer is a little bit difficult. It's not the easiest thing to do, so I decided that I'm going to stop and then just continue in the fall. So we're gonna pretend this was season 1 of my podcast and just a little opener saying how I feel, if I like it. Obviously I do. I bought a mic so I could do it. I love doing it so much. It's just during summer it's hard for me to yell at people and force them to listen because everyone's traveling and having a good time. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll bother you when you get back to school, you know what I mean? So we're gonna take a little break, and I don't know. I just decided that's the best way to do it. But it's fine. I'm ending this season 1 on a really high note with this final episode. So don't worry, folks. Don't worry. I'm not leaving. Okay. We'll be back in the fall. We'll definitely be back. We just need to take some time. I need to replenish my stories and just have more experiences, and then we'll come back strong. Okay, folks? Okay. So we're about to dive in, all right? I think that I've prolonged this enough. Make sure you have your beverage. Make sure you have a snack. I have some popcorn with me that my little sister brought. She's so sweet. I have some water that I just filled up, which, as you already know, is going to be my tea that we will be sipping on. And, am I ready? Am I prepared? I don't know. Do I need to take a break? I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready. I literally wrote up all of my notes because this has been a full journey. So I literally had to write notes about it, and I don't know. All I gotta say is I have the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ, right next to me. So we have props. We have props, folks. Okay, I hope I'm not being too loud. Why is it? I feel like I'm being so loud today. Do I need to step back a little bit? I don't even know. Oh, no, this is whenever I get high-pitched. Okay, well, that's fine then. Okay, without further ado, I can't prolong this too long. I'm just gonna start, okay? I'm just gonna start. So, how did my friend Julia and I meet the Mormons? Okay. Okay. So, wow, it's kind of similar to the tennis story in that we were going to a theater performance. That was exactly how it happened. Honestly, theater, wild things happen in the theater, I guess. But Julia and I were on our way to go support one of our good friends I think she directed a play, so we were going to see that. And I think another one of our friends was in a play, so we really wanted to go see that, okay? So we were on our way to go to the theater. On our way, we see these 2 men approaching us in suits, and I'm just like, bet, So I'm just like, okay, already down. So we're just passing each other, and they're just like, hey. And then I'm just like, hey, that's usually how I respond to people. I'm just extra, because I could have just been like, hey, and just kept walking. And I feel like we would not have engaged, but I was just like, hey, what's up? That's how I was being. And okay, so let me make sure I get all of the details. It was 8, about to be 8 or about to be 9, because that's when the performance was going to start. So it was late. It was dark, okay? It was late at night. But these 2 gentlemen were dressed up in these, these nice white shirts, ties, dress pants, dress shoes. They look nice. They look really nice. Yeah, we were just like, hey, what's up? And then they were just like, do you have a second to like hear about Jesus or something like that? Or like, do you know what a Mormon is? So they said something like that, and then I was just like, oh, this is like one of the missionaries. Because I remember, obviously, like this was during my sophomore year. Oh, did I even say the date? Okay, guys, it's like the first week of December. Okay, it's the first week of December, and we're meeting them. And obviously, this is my sophomore year, but I remember freshman year there being talk about missionaries, but I never saw any of them. But this year, last year, because I'm a junior now, sophomore year, Julia and I were just walking and they approached us. So I think they asked, do you know what a Mormon is? Or do you know about Mormonism? I think that's what they said. And I was just like, no. And I think Julia said no too. So they gave us a book, which I didn't even know they just gave out for free. So that one's actually Julia's copy that she no longer has, but you know, that's fine. So they gave us the Book of Mormon, like the book. It's not a book, it's the Book of Mormon, another testament of Jesus Christ. And they were like, well, if you're interested, you can read a little bit about it and then we can meet with you to talk about it. And, you know, like, obviously down the line, I realized them doing missionary work, like they are sent to different places in order to just talk about God and the Holy Ghost and, you know, everything about that. So I'm just an excited person, and in weird experiences like this, I'm just like, oh, I'm so down. Like, I love it. I'm living. I was living. So I was just like, oh yeah, okay. And they were just like, yeah, so like maybe you can read some of it, and then what'd they say? They were like, and then we'll meet and talk about it. So they were like, can we get your number? So Julia started giving them her number, right? And I was just like, ooh, okay. And it's just, what even happened? I don't know. Just right off the bat, we started just like joking around and like having fun, because we saw on their name tags it said like elder and then their last name, which I'm going to say because I have no regards for people and I'm just like, this is my story, you know? But then again, I think I told them that I would be telling this story, so they're fine. There's so many missionaries out there, okay? It's fine. So we looked at their name tags and it said Elder Bean and Elder Sharp. And I was just like, literally, what? Like, Julie and I were just like, what is an elder? And they literally explained, like, that's the name given to male missionaries. So I don't know. We were just joking about that. And then Julie and I were just like, okay, we're elders too. Like, I don't know. We just said something dumb like that. And we were already hitting it off really well. So then after a while, because like, guys, we are time crunched because obviously Julie and I are late for everything. So we were already late on our way to the theater performance. So now we're like extra late. And so we had to be like, okay, well, we got to go. And they're like, okay, so we'll text you about it, like, and maybe set up a meeting. So I was like, yeah, okay. And as they were walking away, I looked at Julia. I was like, oh, I'm like really excited to get to know them. And then Julia just like doesn't say anything. And she's just like, Miriam. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what? And she was like, I gave them the wrong number. I'm like, what is wrong with you? And I don't know. I'm just like, we're going back and forth. I'm just like, why would you do that? And she's like, I don't know. So they haven't left that far. And I like run up to them. I'm just like, oh, hey guys. I'm like running up to them, right? And then Elder Bean just like looks at me and he goes, you gave us the wrong number, didn't you? Which I'm just like, oh, my heart is broken. Cause like, obviously they're used to that. And I was just like, yeah, but here is the real one. Like, I swear, which I feel like I shouldn't have even swore because is that a sin? I don't know. But I was like, okay, but I swear this is my right number. Just text me about it. We're good. And they're just like, okay. Literally, I don't even know. So after that, I came back to Julia and we went inside the theater and we were about to watch the performances. But the whole time we were like waiting in between scenes because it was one of the theater performances where there's multiple plays. So it was like, while we were waiting, we just kept talking about what just happened. And we're just like, LOL, what if we like, well, how did it happen? I think they were just like, okay, just read like a few chapters, like 5. I think they said 5 chapters. So they're not that long. So they're like, okay, yeah, read 5 chapters and we'll set up a meeting. So with Julia, I'm just like, LOL, what if we like read more than 5? And Julia's like, what if we're just like experts when we talk to them? And I was like, well, what if we do this? And Julia's like, well, what if we do that? And if any of you know about Julia and I, we will go from 0 to 100 so fast, so quickly. It's ridiculous. Like there's like no judgment. There's like no conscious whatsoever. We're just like, oh, here's an idea. Let's do it. You know what I mean? So after the theater performance ended, I think we were still like joking at that point, and then we were about to walk home, and I was just like, yeah, like what if we just went in like going so hard? And Julia's just like, yeah, like what if we did like fact sheets and we had all these questions? So we just looked at each other and we just have this like moment, and we go into our library, right? Oh my gosh, just reliving the memories. It's like ridiculous. So with Julia, we go into the library and we start looking. We go on the website lsd.org, and that's Latter-day Saints, which LSD, yeah, is like, you know, a drug, but that's a little. Is it LSD? Am I crazy? I think that's like a drug, right? Okay, well, I'm kind of dumb, so, you know. But lsd.org, that is their website. So we went there and we just started like teaching ourselves basically, but not really knowing what we're talking about, because I don't know, with the term Mormon, I'm just like, okay, I know this is a religious group and it's kind of like Christianity, but not really, but I didn't know what it was. So then Julia and I just like Googled, we were like, I actually screenshotted the thing we made. So we decided to make a fact sheet, and it was like 22 facts about Mormons, and it said via the factsite.com. So we just typed up top facts about Mormonism, and what we wanted to do originally was just copy and paste it, but we couldn't do that. So tell me why my girl and I, literally she takes 11, I take 11, and we hand type all of these questions into a Word document. So just these aren't questions. We hand type all of these facts into a Word document, and some of the facts are just like, a Mormon is a name given to a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and then the Doctrine and Covenants is a collection of revelations and inspired declarations mainly recorded by Joseph Smith. And then just before the death of Joseph Smith, he passed on the authority to become the prophet of the church to a man called Brigham Young. You know, all of this stuff, just like random facts about Mormons. That's what we did. And then we even put a little picture of Joseph Smith, because if y'all don't know, the LSD church was founded on the 6th of April, 1830 by Joseph Smith, who, after praying to God to see which was the correct church to join, was told none were, and that he was to start his own church and become a prophet of God. So, yeah, we wanted to be cute, so we put down our 22 facts and had a little picture of Joseph Smith, so we did that. And then we decided to come up with our own questions, because we were like, well, we can't go in just not having anything to say, you know what I mean? Just like in any interview, you need to go in with your own questions ready to go. So looking here, we titled it Our Questions, and we had about 17, like we had some good ones. So we were just like, do you take the Book of Mormon literally or metaphorically? Are you allowed to date before marriage? What are your thoughts on homosexuality? You know, stir the pot a little bit. Do you believe in evolution? What are you allowed to do? And then my favorite question we asked was, what is an elder and why are you that? I don't know. Like, we just had so many questions. Like, we were having so much fun just creating this, like, late at night. And literally, we were screaming about it. I'm sure everyone else just doing their normal work was just like, what type of religious class is this? Because Julia is also, like, a religious studies minor, you know? So this easily could have been for a class. Little do they know, we just took this small interaction with these two missionaries who were probably on their way home, and we took it to the extreme, okay? But that's what we do best. So while we were creating the sheet, having a good time, Julia has the great idea to just Google. I don't know how we even figured out the Brigham Young University was like a Mormon university. Well, not most of the people there are Mormon. Like, we Googled it, and it's like 93% or something ridiculous is Mormon. So Julia had the greatest idea to call them, and it was so, and during this whole process, Julia and I are Snapchatting everything. So if you are one of the lucky few who had us on Snapchat and watched this journey, like, if y'all were all confused, this is exactly what was happening. So I'm Snapchatting Julia and she's just calling and she was like, hi, I just want to know, would it be weird if I transferred here even though I'm not Mormon? And I was trying so hard not to start laughing. And I heard the lady on the other line and she was like, no, absolutely not. We have a lot of non-Mormons here. A lot. Your website says like 93% of y'all are Mormon, but I digress, girl. Okay. But she was so sweet and low key. I was looking at their majors and William & Mary do better. Like Brigham Young has so many. They have my mass communications. They have my journalism. So if I don't come back junior year, I'm at Brigham Young University. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I Snapchatted that. That was fun. We played this like game online. So it had the 13 articles. I believe that's what they are. Or articles of commandments. So we were doing these children's games of like learning what the commandments are. We were just like having the best time ever. And we're like, is this too much? Are we doing too much? But don't worry guys, it gets wilder. Okay. It gets wilder. After we do all of this, and let me just pull up my notes to make sure I'm telling all of the facts because I really want to make sure this is all good. Yeah. Okay. So after that, Julie and I went to Julia's apartment, our normal hangout place. And, from the library, we printed out 2 copies of these things we made front and back. Okay. So it's like the 22 facts as well as our questions on the back. We have 2 copies of these. Okay. No, I think we printed out 3. Yeah. We printed out 3 copies because we wanted to give them one, you know? Okay, guys, remember, they are not expecting any of this, okay? Okay, I hope you know. Okay, so we're at Julie's apartment now, and we just start highlighting our fact sheet because we're just like, well, we need to highlight the important stuff, you know? And we were being so particular. Like, there was one instance where we were supposed to highlight a phrase, and, like, Julia didn't highlight the period or something, and then I did, and I was just like, you need to highlight this, and she was like, no. And I was like, but it needs to be like identical. So we would make sure we were highlighting everything perfectly. And we're like, oh, should we highlight theirs? And we were just like, no, let's not do that because like, what if like that's not important to them? You know, like we were being considerate and like we were using different colored highlighters and we were just going all in. So we started doing that to our fact sheet and then we decided to start reading the book. And I don't know, guys. It was a page turner. Like, it was very interesting because, so I'm not religious. So I don't know. When I was just reading, I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, it's separated by different books, by different people. And then once they die, then other people take, like, their sons usually. So it was really interesting. So Julie and I took turns reading chapters. And I think, what happened? I believe they said to read 5 chapters. Yeah, they said to read 5 chapters, but Julie and I read 10 because we were just going all in. So we would take turns. She would read it to me and then I would read it to her and we would just comment on different things. And so we would snap this one instance. So basically, I mean, I'm not knowledgeable enough to just explain what happens. But in the Book of Nephi, which is the first book in the Book of Mormon, so because it's like divided up into different stories, so Nephi he is spoken to by God basically, or like he feels the presence of God. He just believes that there is a God and he believes in him, but his 2 brothers Laman and Lemuel do not. I'm sorry if you guys can hear this playing. This always happens. I hope y'all can. Okay, yep. Thank you, Ghana. Welcome, Aquaba, truly. Okay. So Laman and Lemuel, which are Nephi's brothers, they do not believe at all, okay? And every time Nephi would say something, Laman and Lemuel would like murmur, and then Julia snapped at me in particular, and I was just reading about them, and I was just, but why is Laman and Lemuel like murmuring all this time? Like we were just dying laughing, like it was so fun. I loved it. I really did love it. And there was one quote in particular that Julie and I like loved so hard. Like we started singing it and twerking to it. So I'm just like, okay, well, that's another sin I just committed. But it is this one. If y'all have your Book of Mormon books, it's Nephi chapter 3, line 6, just in case. And it's like, I know that the Lord giveth no commandments upon the children of men, save he shall prepare a way for them, that they may accomplish the thing which he had commanded them. So that was the line. And literally, Julie and I, no joke, we were just like, I know that the Lord giveth no commandments upon the children of men, save that he commandment. Like, we were just having the best time. But all jokes aside, I really do enjoy that line a lot, because to me, it just means the obstacle God puts in your way, like, he knows that you can accomplish it. So anything that is in your way, he knows that you are able to overcome. And I don't know. I liked it a lot. Okay. I liked it. So Julie and I annotated, like, we had all of our questions. We were just like, what does this mean? We don't understand this. Like, what is this? And yeah, that was our night. Like, we went until like really like 1, 2 a.m. doing this. It was a lot. It was a lot. And the whole time we're Snapchatting this, we're getting responses from our friends just like, what are y'all doing? Like, what is happening? Who, what, where, when, why? You know, all of these questions. And okay, let me step back. I'm yelling again. I'm so sorry. So yeah, all of that happened. And this was, like I said, the first week of December. And I don't know, Julie and I were ready, and we were just waiting for them to text me in order to in order to come up with a date to meet. So a week passed, and Julia just texted me, and she was just like, have they said anything? And I was just like, no. So I'm just like, okay, so we've just been holy ghosted by holy ghosted. I'm weak. I'm sick. I just thought of that just now. But yeah, we fully thought we were holy ghosted by the Mormons. And I'm just like, okay, this is great. This is great. But then I was just in Walmart one day. Lo and behold, I get a text and it says, yo, it's the missionaries from last week. And I literally screenshotted it and sent it to Julia. And Julia was like, they did not just say yo. And I was just like, yes, they did. And I'm shook. So me and the Mormons started texting because they had my number, and I was just like referring back to Julia. And I noticed that, like, in the, what is it, a signature? Yeah, every time they texted me, it was like bean/sharp. And I was just like, oh, this is cute. They put a little thing on their phones. That's cute. So yeah, we just set up a meeting. Let me pull up my notes again. We were just, can I stop saying, can I figure out my thoughts? Jeez. So we finally planned out a date, and we were ready. We were going to meet with the Mormons. So yeah. Oh yeah, I remember. Okay, so it became the day of our meeting, and Julie and I, we wanted to look nice because we were like, well, I don't know if sweatpants will do. So we put on like these nice outfits. Like, she wore a dress. I was wearing like a skirt and a top. We had our little folders with our fact sheets. Don't forget, we had them. We had highlighters. We had pens for us and also for them if they wanted to take notes. I had a little notebook to take notes on. Like, we were so prepared. We were so cute. So ready for our class, Mormon 101 in the Wren building, you know? Except it was actually in, where was our meeting? It was like kind of near like one of the dining lounge areas. It was there. So it's like out in the open. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is bold. So Julia actually had to turn in something. Like I said, we're always late. So we were walking in the opposite direction of where we need to go. And we saw the Mormons walking towards us, and we're just like walking away, and they're walking towards the building. And I just look at Julia and I'm just like, oh, this probably looks bad. And they just look at us confused, and we're like, oh, we're totally coming. Julia just needs to drop something off. And they're like, oh, okay, we'll see you. Because like, then it looked like we were holy ghosting them, but not really, because they can see us. So Julia turned in her thing. We went back to go see them, and we were all there. Like, we met up with our Mormons, and I was just like, this is so nice. So they sat down, we sat down, it was cute, we were having a meeting, wow. And wow, this, I will never forget their reactions, their facial expressions, the emotion, everything. Because they sat down and they were just like, how are you guys? We're like, we're good. They're like, how's college going? We're just like, I mean, we're trying not to kill ourselves, but it's fine. And I was like, ooh, is that another sin? So, but we were just making small talk and everything. And then they were like, so did you read? And then I turned to Julia. I was like, did we read? I don't know, Julia, did we? And she was like, I think we did, Miriam. And I was just like, yeah, remember when, like, we were, Julia and I, like, we fully put on skits. And, because, I don't know, we are so good at improving, and we just get each other, you know? So we fully, I'm just going to say they're, like, so, like I said, Elder Sharp and Elder Bean, but since the get-go, Julia and I just, like, dropped the Elder, which I don't know if that's, rude or anything, but we just called them Bean and Sharp, but they never said anything, so that's what we did. So Bean and Sharp are there, and we fully treated them as an audience, okay? And we were just like, cameras are rolling, we go live in 3, 2, 1, action, you know? So I was like, Julia, I think we did read. But did we read only 5 chapters or did we read 10? And then I just looked at them and they like, their eyes just went like wide and they were just like, what? And then Julie was just like, oh yeah. And then, let's actually pull out these sheets, Miriam. And I was just like, oh, you're so right, girl. So we pulled out our fact sheets and we handed them one and we were just like, yeah. So we actually had so many questions. I held up the book and I was like, we annotated, we just wanted to go over some things that we read. Like we were being so nonchalant. I don't even know what that word means. I don't even know why I said it, to be honest. But we were just being like so normal about it. And they were like shook. Like the epitome of shaken. They did not they were fully not ready. And I don't think I was ready, to be honest. They were not ready at all. Like they were laughing because these 2 random girls who at first gave them a wrong number. Like, are they even interested? We have these flyers, these fact sheets, our own questions annotated. We have pens for them. We have a fact sheet for them. Like, we are ready to go. And Bean actually, like, took a photo of it. Did he? I think, well, no, he couldn't have done that because what I realized is they showed me their phone and they had, like, a full flip phone. Like, and I was like, you've been texting me on this the whole time? And that's why they had the little signature thing. And I was like, literally, what? So they've been texting on the flip phone, so then I don't what can you take? I don't know. But basically he was like, I have to show my mom this, and I was like, oh, that's the most pure thing I've ever heard in my life. I'm gonna cry. But they were so shook. So that meeting went really well, guys. Really well. We asked all of our questions. We got answers to things. Let me pull up and see if there was anything on here. We just wanted we just asked questions to clarify the readings because like I said, I'm not religious. So trying to understand a text like that, it's a little bit difficult. And then we asked some of the more controversial questions and, you know, the responses are, as you can imagine. And I'm just going to be completely real and honest on this episode and like, in the question of, do you accept homosexuality? And they were just like, well, it's more the thing like, and then Julia like kind of she kind of summed up what they were saying because they weren't really giving us like a clear answer. And she was like, so it's more like love the person, hate the sin, hate the crime, something like that. And they were just like, yeah. So, you know, they had that, with evolution. Obviously they do not believe in that. Things like that. So I don't know. The whole meeting, Julie and I were just like looking at each other like, yeah. But like, we were there to learn, okay? And we just wanted to understand what it was. And also we already dug ourselves in a hole. So, you know, we were already there. Like, that was it. And let me tell you how we dug ourselves into an even bigger hole. I already thought we were in the biggest hole in the world, but then no. The Bean and Sharp pull out a power drill and we go deeper, okay? Because they were just like, hey, what if you come to church with us? And Julia is just like, and I'm just like, I mean, maybe. Like, I'm just very impressionable, and this is gonna be something that you're gonna understand very well by the end of this episode. Okay. So they were saying like, yeah, you should come to church with us. And I was just like, But then they like gave us these little cards that had the 13 articles from the mini game Julie and I played. Like, we knew some of them. And I was just like, okay, well, if you can recite this to me, then like, we'll come. So Bean and Sharp started reciting them to us. And it's like kind of long. So I was just like, oh, well, that is a skill. And like, that's amazing. So we have to go, obviously. And I don't know. I was just like looking at Julia like, can we go, please? And she's just like, okay. So they told us it was going to be at 9 a.m. So obviously we were just like, God. And they were like, is that too early? And we're just like, Like Julia and I wake up at like, 11 noon? Because it's the weekend. Hello, obviously. We're like, no, we're going to do this. So they gave us the address. And obviously it was far off campus and we don't have a car or anything. So they're like, well, there are actually some girls at your school who are Mormons and they're coming to church so they can drive you. And I was just like, oh, I didn't know about that. So I don't know. That was the plan. Like, we were going to go with them and go to church. So after that meeting, which went, I enjoyed myself. I definitely did. And they're like, okay, keep reading and then just come to church and see how that's like. So we're just like, okay, bet. And then after they left, Julie and I obviously, like, as we usually do, another plane? Okay. So Julie and I talked about it. We're just like, oh, some of those answers, yikes, And I was just like, yeah, true. But like, religion, everything's controversial. And she's like, yeah, true. And then we just like got ourselves ready in the mindset to go to church. I don't like, what? What? We were going to church? What? Okay, so Sunday came around and I woke up, got ready. I put on my Sunday's best. Your girl was going to church. And I went to Julia's apartment. She was ready too. Okay. Well, sorry, I'm skipping around. So as they were telling us about church, they were like, okay, it's 3 hours. And I was like, oh, like 3 hours? Really? And they were like, yeah. And then there's like no lunch. And I was like, what is this? I thought we were trying to go to heaven. This sounds like hell to me. Okay. Like, this sounds like hell. And they were like, so it's divided into 3 parts. So the first hour, I don't know religion. This whole episode is not about me telling you what Mormonism is. It's going to be about how I found myself in this predicament of like being associated with Mormons, Mormonism, everything like that. Okay. So the first hour is like people speaking and like saying their own testimonies and like how they found God, stuff like that. The second hour is basically like the youths, and it is like kind of a learning hour where we read a chapter of, it's not the Book of Mormon, but it's a different book of like scriptures and stuff where you like learn about stuff. And then the third hour is just for women. And I guess the men have their own. So it's just for women to go into something else, So I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Well, yeah, that's what I said. But on the inside, I was like, oh, I don't know if I could do that. So obviously my girl Julia and I were smart. I fully brought a whole thing of Oreos. Like, I had chips. Julia had her own snacks too. Like, we were ready to go. The girls texted us and they were ready to, oh, wait. Yeah. Well, yes. Okay. Sorry. I was trying to like figure out everything because so when we went in the car with the people that were going to take us to church, like one of the girls, I actually know her from theater, and it was actually the day we met the Mormons. When we went to do the theater thing, for some reason, Julie and I were just talking about the Mormons out loud, and then someone overheard us, and they were just like, oh, like, this girl's a Mormon, and we were just like, oh, really? So we already met this girl, and I, like, knew her from, like, last year from, like, different play stuff. So that was, like, really cool. Like, look at that. That's kind of amazing, right? That was kind of amazing. Like, the same day we met the Mormons, we met this other girl who's a Mormon too. So that was really cool. So we were in the car and we were on our way, and it was just kind of uncomfortable. Like, Julie and I were just looking at each other like, ooh. And Julie and I will do this thing where we'll just like tap each other on the knee. Like, so if you ever see Julie and I doing that, then like we have tea. Because we'll just like gently tap each other and be like, girl, you see this? And I'm just like, girl, I know that's right. So like, just, it was far. The place was really far off campus. I was like, oh my gosh, where are we? And then I saw the sign that was like Church of the Latter-day Saints. And I'm just like, I cannot believe this has happened. Like, this is not my life right now. This is fully not my life. So we park. I take a Snapchat. Okay, all of these noises. I take a Snapchat of the church and of Julia. And all I can do is like laugh. And because I'm just like, guys, who would have thunk? Who would have thunk it? But as soon as we went in, I saw the precious smiles of Bean and Sharp. And I'm just like, yay! And they were so excited to see us because, I don't know. Like, I feel like with missionary work, a lot of times you see people who are just like, oh yeah, like definitely I'll like talk to you about it later. Like, and obviously Julia gave a wrong number at the beginning. Like, I imagine a lot of times people don't follow through, but Julia and I were in it to win it, okay? Like, Coach subbed us in and we are here to play the game till the end. Even into extra time, we are here. So we smiled at them and we went into the little church. We went into the place where like there's all the booths and like you sit down, and we sat down and I look around and I'm like, ooh, we're the only Black people here. That's fun. And I was like, okay, already off to a hot start, off to a really blazing, flaming, sun hot start, you know? So the people start talking, and it's like different families talking about why God is important in their lives and everything like that. And then they give us like something to drink. What do we, like some type of bread thing and like some water? I don't know. I think it happened a while ago, so I don't even remember, but like we got food and stuff. So I was just like, cool. And then I don't know. Like, I just kept looking to Bean and Sharp because I was just like, we are doing this for you, to be honest. And then, obviously during church, if I feel like most people know about church, and if you do go to church, then obviously you know, like, then we pulled out a book and we started like singing, and obviously Julia and I are not singing because like we don't know this. And I look up front and like this man in charge, I'm sure he has a title, but I do not know right now. So like, excuse me for that. But the man in front is like glaring at us, and I'm just like, okay, are we not welcoming? Welcome thy neighbor, or whatever that saying is. I don't know. I just felt kind of uncomfortable. First off, we're the only Black people there. We don't know what's going on. We're not singing. We're not doing anything. We don't. Like, when they're just like, okay, let us pray, then we're bowing our heads. Like, we got that part. But everything else, we were just like, oh, okay. So I do, the best thing I can do when I start opening up my snacks and eating. And literally, like, 4 people turn to me and just like, that's a smart idea. And I'm just like, thank you? Like, what? Who doesn't bring snacks to a 3-hour show? Are you kidding? Are you kidding? So that was our first hour. And then we were on our way to the educational part. So that was really cool. And that part, it was actually really interesting. That part, we actually got to sit closer to Bean and Sharp because the first hour, they were like behind us. So I was just like, my boys, no. But the second part, they sat like right next to us. And I don't know, like I already said, we had already hit it off. So it was just like being with friends. Like, I was so happy to see them. And I'm trying to remember what we talked about. I think we talked about what we learned in that hour was that, in the book, the scripture, we learned about how there's gonna come a day where, it's called the millennium. Wow, Miriam come through with the facts. God, do you hear this? Look at me go. Are you proud of me? I hope you're proud. So it's called the millennium, where God is going to come to earth, and it's going to be just like a happy time. And it's going to be how much is a millennium? 1,000. Guys, like I said, do not even take any of this quote word by word, okay? But it's going to be like 1,000 years of like peace and prosperity and happiness and everything beautiful like that, you know? It's going to be great. And then at the end of that, there's going to be a choice, and you can either go with God or you can go with Satan, something like that. So we were talking about that, and then we were just having a discussion on should you be saved like now, or should you like wait? And people are just like, well, if you like, why would you wait? Because when you're saved and like baptized and stuff like that, then you'll know all the secrets that God has to offer. And like, why would you wait to know about those? Because they're like great and like beautiful and all this. And I don't know, like, obviously we talked about a lot more. It was a full hour, like, believe me, a full hour. And Julie and I, we were just listening, you know. We passed the book around and we all read like a little part about it. And I don't know, like, it was interesting. It was really cool and interesting. So that part happened. We took pictures with Bean and Sharp. And then we were on to our last hour. Your homegirls almost made it, guys. Our last hour. And this one I actually enjoyed the most, guys. So it was all women, and it was, so like, the time frame we're in right now is like mid-December, okay? So first off, they gave us these little ornaments that had, the birth of Jesus Christ, yes, okay. And it was really cute. So I was like, oh, thank you. And then this woman gave Julie and I like gum. Like, it was so nice. Oh, but okay. I'm going to get into like why I thought it was the best part, but this was the funniest thing to happen. So in this hour, we are reading the book again. And as we're reading the book, well, hold on. Okay. I'm messing up everything. So we are singing. We're supposed to sing from this book, okay? So Julie and I pick up the book and the people are singing. And I don't know why it took Julie and I until the end of the song to find where we were. Like, I would point to something and be like, oh no, we're right here. And Julie would be like, nope. And then they would, like, they're singing and I would hear a word and I'd be like, oh yeah, right here. And Julia's like, literally, no, it's here. And I'm just like, where are we? And then the girl next to us, like, points to, we're on a whole different page, guys. A whole different song. And we're just like, no, this is it. It was so funny. It was so funny. But we finally got there, okay? We finally got there. Mormons in training. So that part happened. And then, so why I really liked it. So, I don't know. I'm a type of person who really likes listening to stories and inspirational things. Like, I really love that a lot. So we were talking about, and I don't know, I actually didn't, like I keep saying I'm not religious, but I actually did not know. Oh, well, this is going to make me sound dumb, but like I said, I'm going to be completely real and honest. Oh, no. Okay. my Mac went off and I was like, no. Okay. So it was just like, I didn't know that God just chose Mary to impregnate with Jesus. I did not know that. I thought they were married. So I know I probably sound dumb, okay, but I'm just being real and honest, okay? I'm just being real and honest. So I didn't know about that. So that happened. And then, yeah, I mean, Jesus was going to be born. And then I think we know the 3 wise men, but this lady was telling a story about the 4th wise man and how he was trying to make his way to the birth of Jesus Christ, and he had these gifts that he wanted to give. And as he's making his way, he, like, guys, I was so into the story, and the woman was actually crying while telling it, and I was like, whoa, like, this is really emotional for her. Because this wise man, obviously, I'm not even going to say the disclaimer anymore, because y'all are probably tired of hearing it. So basically, he had 3 gifts, but just as he was making his way, different people in his like path kept, like, they needed the gift at that moment. Like, there was, so obviously there was 3 instances, but like one of them I remember, it was like some woman who was kidnapped or something, and like the person was like gonna kill her or something wild like that, and the wise man was like, okay, if I give you this, will you let her go? And then she was able to be let go. And this man was just like sad that he obviously couldn't see the birth of Jesus Christ, but then it was also beautiful because he helped all of these people, and like that's what God would have wanted, even if he wasn't able to be there for the birth of Jesus. I don't know, guys. I loved it a lot. I really did enjoy it. So after that hour was done, we met up with Bean and Sharp, and I was just telling them that I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. They were just like, yeah, like, how'd you think about like everything. And I was just like, the third part was fantastic. They're like, oh, okay, anything else? And I was just like, the third hour really just hit it home for me. And they're like, okay. I just kept being like, the last one, pure gold. Pure gold, truly. So yes, all of that happened. And so Julie and I were actually going to be driven home by the same people we came with. But then we decided we would just Uber home. So we did that. And then I think, we got food. Yeah, we got food. And then this is kind of where I think our mindsets were like differing a little bit. Okay. Because the whole time we were on the same path, like, LOL, we didn't know what was going to happen. We made this fact sheet and now we came to church. Like, LOL, we're in this hole, but like, now we can climb out because they're just like, yeah, we hope to see you again. So like, that was kind of it, Julie and I were just talking at breakfast and we just decided, well, she was just like, yeah, I'm like not feeling it. I don't know if she said that exactly, but I could tell that she was not really feeling it. She actually wanted, because we had our Books of Mormon, like we had the books, and she actually wanted to leave it at the table, and I was just like, literally, stop, no. So I made her like take it with her, and I could see like we were really differing. She, like Julia, I really am, what is that word? Like, I love that in someone, I value that, I admire. I really admire that in her, and that she was just like, yeah, like this is not for me, but I was just like, oh, but I really like Bean and Sharp a lot. Like, they're really cool people. Like, I want to see where this goes. So that's kind of where we were diverging a little bit. And sorry, let me just get my phone note again and realize where I am. So after that, they kind of just texted me because they still had my number. They're just like, thank you again for coming to church. Like, we really appreciate that. And I was just like, oh, well, thank you for inviting us. Like, we had a good time and stuff. And they would just be like, so how is finals going? Like, it was just really chill, normal conversations. Every now and again, they'd be like, are you reading? Are you reading? And like, there were some days I knew as soon as they texted me like, hey, I would be like, there was one time I was just like, oh, please don't ask me if I've read. I haven't. It's not like I was annoyed at all because obviously this is their job. Like, this is what they are doing in Williamsburg. So I was like, no, I didn't read this time. I've been kind of busy with finals and everything. And they're just like, oh yeah, like I understand that. And then it was all of a sudden winter break, and I came to Ghana here and they texted me. But the thing is, with their flip phone, like they don't have iPhone, so it's not like iMessage, so I can't like text them. So they would text me like, oh, Merry Christmas, I hope you're having a good time, I hope you're reading, like sweet messages like that, And I texted Julia and I was like, can you please tell them that, because Julia had their number 2, yeah, I think, because for some reason I was like, yeah, Julia, tell them. Yeah, okay. So I was just like, Julia, can you please tell them that like Merry Christmas to them too, and I can't respond to them. So she did that. Because I don't know, I just really value friendships and like things like that. So I was just like, I really want to keep this. Like, they're so sweet. So I was fully reading over winter break, and we came back, and sorry guys, I'm just looking at where I am. I just realized I have so much to talk about, and we're already at like almost 50 minutes. But like I said, this is a pretty long story, and it's the last one of the season. So hang on with me. I hope you're having a fun time. You know what I mean? So I come back to school and I'm just like, what's up, fam? And they're just like, oh, hey, nice to hear from you, And I don't know. We just got back into the same groove of things. They just started like messaging me like maybe once every 2 weeks or stuff like that, And then they were just like, oh, like, so did you read over winter break? And I was just like, yeah, I'm actually in Mosiah, like chapter 21. And they were like, are you joking? And here is why they thought they were joking. They thought I was joking because with Julia, like I said, we had gotten to chapter 10. Okay. Oh, and I sorry, I forgot to mention this, but I think somewhere in between the first, I don't know, for some reason, Julia and I read a little bit more before winter break ended, even though she was kind of like, I'm out of it. So as we were reading it, it wasn't like, LOL, the Lord has commandments. Let everybody know. It was like not that anymore. So but I don't know, like we still read a little bit, but that was chapter, I would say like 15 of Nephi or something. And then, so that's the first book. And then you have the second book of Nephi, and then you have Jacob, and then you have Mosiah, right? And I was in chapter 21 of Mosiah. Like, and to any of you who don't know, like, any of the books, I'll say it's like over 100 pages or something like that. So they were shook that I read that much. And I was like, yeah, I mean, at the end of Nephi, I just didn't know that he would die. It was, oh, well, I actually need to read it because, like, I just want the whole story to be, like, very clear. Let me just read you at the end because I was like, oh no, like, he just, like, dies. But what he says was so inspirational, so I loved, okay, where's the end of this? So how are y'all doing? Oh, I found it, guys. Okay, it's actually in the second book of Nephi. And he was like, and if they are not the words of Christ, judge ye, for Christ will show upon you with the power and great glory that they are his words. I didn't highlight that part because I didn't know what that meant. But then this part I highlighted, at the last day, and you and I shall stand face to face before his bar, and ye shall know that I have been commanded of him to write these things. And then one of the last things he says is, farewell until that great day shall come. And then he just like dies, you know? And I don't know why that moved me. Like, I've already said I'm very impressionable. I'm very emotional. Things like that just get me. And I don't know, to just read when he's just like, that day will come where we'll meet each other face to face and you'll understand everything I've written. I'm just like, yes, Nephi, I'll see you one day. So then I just had to keep reading about his son and then, like, you know, other people. So that's basically why I kept reading. And they were excited, you know, Bean and Sharp were really excited that I kept reading. And they were like, okay, well, can we meet up? And I was just like, yeah, bet. And I told Julia, I was like, hey, they want to meet again. Like, do you want to come? And I could tell that she was not really interested, but she came for me. And I really appreciated that a lot because I was kind of nervous to go in to talk to them alone because, I don't know, I have the tendency to just be like dumb and like say things that are far off. So, you know, stuff like that. So I'm really glad she came because she did like read some of it with me, but then obviously I read more after. So I told them, I was like, oh, Julia's going to come with me, even though she didn't read, she's going to be there. And they're just like, okay. So we had that meeting and that meeting went really well. It was a lot of me talking to Julia, just being there to support me. So I loved that a lot. And I was just telling them, you know, I annotated this, the same things that always happens at our meetings. Same thing always happens. I annotate and they answer my questions. And then Julia actually had to leave because she had some type of meeting. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to be alone. And that was the day that would be the last time Julia would meet with the Mormons. So, and I think she realized that, they realized that too, because skipping forward, we're gonna jump back, but like skipping forward, when I talked to them about it, they're just like, yeah, we've done this for a while. We could tell she was not interested. I was just like, oh, I'm so sorry. And she's like, no, it's so fine. Like, it's totally fine. So yeah, and Julia like loves them. She thinks they're like amazing people. So, but I actually texted her because I was like, well, what's your reason for stopping? Because I wanted to hear it from her. And she said, sorry, let me just scroll up to what she said. Wow. Okay, sorry. We text each other a lot. Okay, here it is. So she was just like, she couldn't deal with the okay, I mean, she cursed in this, but like, we're going to keep this one classy, you know, so I gotta go through the cursing. She was like, I just can't deal with the problematic stuff that they said and how backwards their thinking is, like how they said evolution wasn't real or that being gay was wrong and that all of their religious leaders are men. So obviously I definitely understood where she was coming from. Definitely understood that. But I just really wanted to learn about what being a Mormon was. And low key, I like really like these boys a lot. Like, obviously, well, I don't even know. It was not romantic at all, okay? But I don't know. I just get small crushes on people, and I was like, but they're really cute. They're really cute. So I don't know. I like them a lot. So I wanted to just like keep going and like keep learning about this. But when Julia left, I think after this happened, like a huge weight was like lifted off my shoulders, and it was tough because they were just like, so what do you think about all this? And I was just like, I don't know. Sorry. If you hear sirens, I'm so sorry. And I was just like, yeah, it's like really cool, but I just don't want to waste your time. And I don't know. It was a hard conversation to have with them. Obviously, it's like, I bet it's like so easy for people, but again, I'm a people pleaser. So if someone wants me to like do something, oh, that's going to be problematic. If someone wants me to do something, I just do it. Obviously not, but if like no one is being harmed and I can do something for someone that I'm just like, yeah, I want to like do it. I mean, that still doesn't ease the fact that it's kind of problematic. I know it's something I have to change about myself, but that'll come later on. So they're just like, yeah, what do you think? And I was like, yeah, I feel like I'm wasting your time because I don't know. I was just like, I'm not religious. Like, I believe that there is something like a higher power, but I just want to live my life and be a good person and like not follow a book that was written like all these years ago, because I don't know. Because I know some people, they don't take it literally, but I just want to live my life being the best person I can be. And then when I die, no, if I see Satan, if I see God, if I don't see anything because afterlife is not real, if I'm reincarnated into like a puppy or like, I don't know. Like no one knows what's going to happen, you know? So that's what I was telling them. And they were just like, oh my gosh. So they're sorry guys, I need to hold on. Oh, like I said, after I talk for a while, let me just take a little sip. Ooh, okay. And we started talking about that, and they were just like, would you be afraid if you got an answer from God? Because they were like, well, you should like try to pray and see if this is right for you and see if it is the truth. And I was just like, I don't know. Like, and guys, I loved having that conversation. One, because I was like, this is one of the first times that I'm really expressing myself and like, not just being like, yeah, like totally. I was really speaking for myself, and I was like really proud of that because I don't know anything about religion. Like I keep saying, and I'm just like, but I'm really coming out here, like trying my best. And I was just like, literally meeting you two, if like I'm going to say it like I'm talking to them, okay? Like I'm talking to Bean and Sharp right now. I'm like, you both are Mormons and you came up to me, okay? But if you, and obviously these other religions don't have missionaries, but just hear me out. But I'm just like, if it was like someone who was Jewish who came up to me, someone who was Catholic, someone who was Muslim, someone who was atheist, you know, anything like that. If they had come up to me and been like, hey, do you want to read this book? And then like have a meeting. I am 100% sure I would have said yes. 100%. Just because I want to like know more about it. So I was just like telling them like, you know what I mean? How do you know yours is true? Because people who believe in the Torah believe it's true. People who believe in the Quran think it's true. People who don't believe in the Bible are just like, yeah, no, like that's not a thing, you know? So I was just like, how do I know this is true? And they're like, well, first pray on it and you will receive an answer, because as you read, like you'll feel like the Holy Ghost, and they explain like that's like a feeling of like happiness and everything like that. And I was just like, oh, okay. So yeah, and then they were like, pray on it, but also, and this thing that Sharp said, I was just like, oh, I like that. Like as soon as he finished, I was just like, oh, I like that a lot. Because he was like, like I said, the first day they were in these white button downs, these ties, these slacks and everything. And that's what they wear every day. Like every time we had these meetings, that's what they were wearing. And they were like, we wear these outfits. We took 2 years off because one of them is 18 and he should have gone to being 18 and he should have gone straight to college, obviously, but he took 2 years off so he could do this. So obviously he's like going to start way later than like all of his friends, you know? And then Sharp, he was 20 and he was just like, yeah, I have like a girl waiting back home. Like who's to say that she'll be there when I come back? And who's to say these friendships will last? And I started school, but then I'm taking a break and then I'm coming back. So I don't know the risks they are taking. They're like, we look like this all the time. Like they have badges, like I said, that says elder blank. And then, you know, from the Latter-day Saints, yeah. of Jesus Christ. Butchered that so hard. And they're like, we get made fun of for this, but we are willing to do this because we know what we believe in is true. And I was just like, oh, I hate it, but I love it. So all of that happened. I was just like, I don't know. And they were like, would you be afraid if you received a message? And I was like, I didn't want to receive a message, because then I was thinking, well, if it is true and I do receive a message, then I have to obviously act on it, because that was one of the things that we're saying, like, that's why you go to hell. Because to them, I was joking the whole time. I was just like, oh, like, I'm fully going to hell. And they're like, no, that's not what we believe in. To them, there's 3 kingdoms in heaven. The first one is celestial, and don't ask me about the other 2. I think it's celestial and terrestrial. Ooh, come through, God, look at me. So, if you believe in God and you are saved and you are baptized and all of this, and you live a beautiful, like, very nice life, then you get to live in the highest kingdom with God, like you are with God. And, there's the second and the third level. And I was just like, oh, like, who goes to hell though? And I was like, rapists and murderers, right? And they were just like, no, actually, like, they would be in the bottom level. And I was just like, they get to go to heaven? And they're like, well, when you compare the last level to the highest level, the lowest level looks like hell, actually. And I was just like, but it's still in heaven. Like, I was confused about that. And they were like, I mean, unless you do something like so terribly bad and like don't ask for forgiveness and everything, then you'll go to hell. But to them, like, it's not like heaven or hell, it's not like that strict, you know what I mean? So they're just like, so you're not going to hell. And I was just like, that was so nice when they told me that. Like, I don't know, that just made my heart like happy. They're just like, you're not going to hell. I was just like, yay. Because like I said, I am really trying to be the best person I can. So I was like, if I get this message and I don't act on it, that's like saying I don't believe in God, but I do. But I just feel like it's not I wouldn't say that. I would not say that at all. But it's just that, because even while Julia and I were Snapchatting this whole journey, like, people would be like, oh, like, Mormons are crazy, like, they believe in all this. And I'm just like, why are people saying this? And I asked them, I was just like, why are you like so hated? Because if someone's like, oh, I'm a Christian, I'm a Catholic, like, that's totally fine. But people who's like, I'm Mormon, like, why are they looked at a different way? And they're like, well, the devil just hates us the most, and that's why we believe ours is true. And I was just like, ooh, I kind of like that too. That's kind of cool. I don't know if that's true, but that's what they said to me. So I don't know. I was just like, if it is true and I did get an answer from praying, like, I would have to be baptized and stuff. And I don't know, like I was saying, people were looking at me strangely, like with the Snapchats. And even when I went home during winter break and I was reading, like, I would hide the book because obviously my family is like, what is Mormonism? And I was just like, So I don't know. It was just a lot. So that conversation, to keep it brief because we are over an hour, and I just want to tell the whole story and finish it off. So yeah, that conversation, I'm really glad it happened because we decided we were on the right foot, and that I did not have plans to become a Mormon, but the texts were very interesting to me, and I just loved reading it because they were just like, how do you feel when you read it? I was just like, it honestly makes me happy, and I don't know, it's cool to read something like that because I've never read the Bible or anything. So I was like, this is really cool. So I don't know. I think we left on both really good notes, I think. Yeah, that happened. After that meeting, of course, we're still texting each other, and it's weird, like, the coincidences I have with them, and they're just like, that's the Holy Ghost. Like, it's so cool because it was like maybe 2 weeks, and I was just like, oh, I haven't read in a while. Let me just pick this up. Tell me why I get a text from the Mormons. They're just like, oh, have you been reading? What? I just picked up the book after like a few weeks. Literally, and this happens so much. I was like, this is crazy. Like, what in the world? And then flash forward. This is like, I don't even know how to transition into this, but there was one day where I was like feeling really low and like sad. And, oh, well, I can kind of transition, but they would text me like, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything we can do for you? And I never knew what that meant because I was like, well, obviously you can't do my like calc homework for me, but they were really sweet, and they were like, is there anything we can do? And I was just like, no, I'm good. But there was one day where I was not good, and I was just really sad, and I felt like I had no one to go to. So, and looking back, I'm like, do I regret doing this? No, it was a little bit dramatic. Like, I definitely jumped a few hoops, but I don't know. I feel like just everyone in my life was just busy and like doing things. So I was like, I feel like I have no one. So I just texted them, and I was just like, hey, I know you always ask, like, what, is there anything you can do for me? And I don't know if this is what you meant, but I really could use some prayer right now. Like, I'm not feeling my best. And they came through for me, they prayed for me, and they were like, keep reading the book. And I did. And it made me really happy. And I was good to go. So that happened. And then I have to talk about this. So sad. So after all of that, we'd been texting for a while, and then so with the mission work that they do, they don't stay in a place for 2 years. They don't stay in one place for 2 years. Obviously, that would get boring. So they are transferred. So Sharp actually was being transferred to North Carolina. So he was like, before I leave, like, we should meet up. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, definitely, And so we did. We went to Cookout, me, Sharp, and Bean, and that's where, they were just like, oh yeah, we realized Julia was not into it, and it was just such a awesome conversation. Like, we didn't talk about God or the Bible or anything like that. We had our milkshakes, and it was cool. Like, yeah, they were still in their like suits, so like that was interesting. People looked over, and it's just like me in like shorts and like a tank because it's so hot, and they're just like in their suits, and I'm just like, yep, we're doing this. And it was just so cute. Like, I realized they're just normal guys, they're normal people. Like, Sharp does hunting on his free time, which Julie and I think that's problematic, but you do you. He just like goes fishing and does all that. And Bean like played basketball in school, and then they were telling me how like they would cheat and stuff on tests and like lie, and I'm just like, what? Like, you're not even like a Mormon. Obviously I'm joking, but like, yeah, they're just like normal guys. So normal. Like, I don't know. I'm so happy I met them. And like, saying goodbye to Sharp was so sad. Like, we took so many pictures, and they were just like, oh, like, email me them. And I was just like, oh, that's like cute. Cause like, obviously you just text a friend, but I have to email it to them because they don't have phones, so they can't do anything like that. And I don't know, like, it was time to say bye to Sharp, and someone else was coming to replace him because they work as two. So like, Sharp and Bean were always together in like their little apartment. And so Bean was getting a new person. So I was just like, well, it's been fun, Sharp. And Sharp actually still emails him. Before I started recording this podcast, I actually got an email from him. So it's so nice. Like, we're still keeping in touch. They live in Ohio, Idaho. Where do they live? They keep telling me, and I keep like joking that it's like Utah. It's either Utah or Ohio, one of those. I think it's Utah. It's the one next to California. Guys, okay, now I have to see map of US. I swear I don't know the states at all. It's like really close to, oh, is it Idaho then? Because that's like nearish. It's not Oregon. I think it's Idaho. But don't quote me on that. But where was I? Why did I even say that? I don't know. But I still keep in touch with Sharp, so I'm so happy to do that. And then after I said goodbye, guys, 2 weeks later, Bean sends me a text, and the signature line has changed. And I was just like, oh, tear. And it says Bean and Martin. And Martin was the new guy who came, and they were just like, hey, like, do you mind if we meet up so you can meet the new person? I was like, 100% I'm down. And that is what I did. I got to meet Martin, and he was so cool. Like, he was so nice. Love him so much. I don't know, guys. Mormons are really so sweet. Okay. Like, and that's why just hearing the stuff people say about them, I'm just like, why? Like, why are people saying this? Like, they are such nice people. Like, why are you writing someone off just because of what they believe in? Unless they believe in, yeah, I believe in like cutting up babies and feeding them to dogs. And then like, you know, if you don't believe in something ridiculous, who cares? Who cares? So yeah, I met up with Martin, and it was so nice. It was so nice. We were doing the same thing. I was reading. I was asking them questions. They were telling me answers. And I was just like, this is so nice. And obviously, the whole time they're telling me the answers, like, just need to throw this out there. Like, I'm not just like, oh, yeah, like 100%. I'm just like nodding along like, oh, okay, this is what you believe in. Because obviously, I do not agree with everything they said. Like, you heard the reasons why Julia left. And I was just like, yeah, that's a little bit questionable, you know, but not any religion is perfect. So, but again, I'm just like learning stuff. So that happened. I don't know. It was just really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. We just had this friendship and we just kept doing it. And I don't know. They'll just text me like, hey, you're reading. And I'm just like, nope. Like, I just got more confident because again, at the beginning, I was just like, oh no, like, I'm gonna read, don't worry. And then it just got to a point where, no, I haven't read, like, I'm busy, but like, if I get to it, and I enjoyed that much better. Like, they never were pushing me at all, but I didn't feel required to do it anymore. It's more for like fun. Like, it's summertime and I'm still reading, you know, like, it's just because I want to do it. And just because I want to say one day, like, yeah, I read the entire Book of Mormon because I'm like over halfway done. So, you know, might as well keep on going, keep on trucking. So they were really sweet, building a good friendship. There was one day actually where, again, I was lonely and they were just like, oh, like, do you want us to buy you lunch or anything like that? Like, they are so nice and so caring. It's just, oh, guys, it's so nice. And there was one day where they were just like, oh, like, do you want to come see a baptism? And I was like, what? I'm so mad at myself for not going because I went out the night before. So, like, you know, slept at 4:30 a.m. So I could not wake up at 9 a.m. for a baptism. But that would have been so cool to see. But I missed that. And then it was just a nice day, that random day. And they texted me. They were like, LOL, so you couldn't come. And I was just like, no, I'm sorry. I was doing all this. And they're like, oh, what are you doing now? And I was like, oh, like, it's a nice day. So I'm just like listening to a podcast. And a lot of other people that I'm friends with were like at beaches and stuff. But I was just, you know, chilling, listening to a podcast. And they were just like, oh, like, are you busy right now? And I was just like, oh, no. And they were like, do you want to like meet up? So we just met up and we had a nice conversation. Like, I don't know, guys. It's just so nice. It was so nice. And then after all that, finals came, March came, and it was the end of the year. So I had to say bye to my boys. So I texted them. I was just like, oh, I'm leaving. And I feel like it would be disrespectful to leave without saying goodbye to me. And they're like, oh, absolutely. And I'm just like, yeah. So we walked to Baskin Robbins and it was really cute. Like, we were just having a nice conversation. I don't know. I know I'm repeating myself, but I really am happy that I met them. I'm really glad that I did that. And at first I was saying like, oh, it's just like a coincidence, you know, but now I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe God did put these people in my life for a reason, you know, because I texted them when I was in Ghana just to say like, thank you for everything. Like, you really did come into my life at an important part. Like, I was like, not to be cliche or anything, but you saved me in a way. And I said this to Sharp too. Like, don't worry, your girl did not forget about Sharp. So I said this to both of them and I ended my message. I'm so dramatic. I ended my message with like #Heaven Buddies for life. Because if you guys have watched Ted 2, you know how he says Thunder Buddies for life. But it's just because I kept being like, oh, I'm going to hell because I'm not going to be baptized or anything like that. And I don't know. They're just like, no, like, you will. Like, we'll see you there. And I'm just like, I'm crying again. So they're just so nice to me. They're so nice. Like, they'll text me like, I love you and stuff like that. Like, obviously, I love you is like such a strong word. But like, when we're saying it to each other, it's just like, I care about like you and I want you to be like, okay. Because they know like I had a rough time. And I don't know, like, we just care about each other. And it's just like, it's a beautiful friendship. It really is. And I'm so happy I met them. I'm so happy I got to do it with Julia. Like, I remember I think it was during the time that we were doing all this in the library or like afterwards. Or maybe it was like after we went to church, something like that. I don't know. I was just like, literally, thank you for doing this with me. There's like, I don't think there's anyone else who would have done this with me. So I don't know, that whole journey, like I just was like all in my feels because I was like, I met these like three amazing people, Martin, Bean, and Sharp. I hope they are doing amazing and wonderful. I hope they complete their missionary work and go back home. And I hope everything is like awesome for them. I hope college is great. I don't know. I just hope everything is like working amazing for them and they have a great time. And with Julia, obviously, like she is my homegirl. She's my everything. Like, to be able to go through this journey with her. And I don't know, she was just like telling me like, listen, if this is what you want to do, I completely support you, but just understand that it is something that you want to do. And I don't know, just getting advice from her was like so sweet. And I really appreciated that a lot. So, I think that is all. That's it, guys. That's the Mormon story. I don't know if it's what you expected, if it's what you hoped for, but that's it. It was a random occurrence, but I don't know. I really do feel like things are fate and you meet certain people come into your life for like the right reason, and meeting them has been an absolute joy. If I had not met them, I don't know what my sophomore year would have been, truly. I'm so happy I met them and I got to do this with like my best friend by my side. So, you know, I'm really happy. I'm really happy. And now I'm just like all in my feels, guys. I'm going to go read the Book of Mormon. I'm going to go text my boys. Okay. I gotta go. I know this was a long episode, but thank you for listening. If you got through the end, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for making season 1 of An Extra Sip absolutely glorious. I didn't know that I would actually be able to do this starting in March, and now we are in June and I'm still going strong. And when we come back in the fall, we're going to go even stronger. So yeah, I'm really excited about what's to come. Junior year, I'm really excited. So thank you again, and I will talk to you guys real soon in the fall. Okay, loves. Bye. Ew, that was disgusting. I hate myself. Anyways, bye, guys.